Hello, it's Pete from the Make Noise Instagram channel. I hope you're having a nice day. This past weekend, I was given the simple gift of an open schedule. No work, no plans, no obligations, just peace and quiet. I spent my time indulging in restorative behavior, eating good food, going for a drive, and planting flowers. Later that afternoon, while I was patching at home, I found myself asking, is there a way I can include peace and quiet in this sound? And what modules would I use for that anyway? Some people say you can never have enough VCAs, and these people are correct. In this video, I'll be showing 3 patches that utilize voltage-controlled amplifiers, one with Maths, one with a zero control, and a third with X-PAN. The first 2 include strategies for introducing silence into your patching, and the third doesn't. There are timestamps for everything in the description below. Feel free to skip around, and let's begin. The first synth meetup I ever attended was in Coney Island in 2009. That day was the first time I ever patched on a modular system. Within that collection of modules was a super rare MOTM format Blacet binary zone. That's me trying it out. The Blacet binary zone was a module designed by John Blacet in the 1970s and later released by his Blacet research company in the FRAC format of modular synthesizers in the early part of the 21st century. The module is unfortunately out of production, but if you're curious and want to learn more about it, I've included a link to its manual in the description below. Central to the functionality of the binary zone are the interaction of 2 circuits, a clock divider and a polarizing mixer. They allow you to patch a clock in, create different positive and negative weightings of the divisions, and take as the output a stepped control voltage. In this Binary Zone-inspired John Blacet tribute patch, we'll separate out those 2 circuits, the divider and the polarizing mixer, into 2 modules, Tempi for the divider and Maths for the mixer. Our oscillator in this patch is Spectrophone, and it's patched into a DXG channel. Here's what that sounds like unmodulated. We'll trigger channel 4 of Maths with a Tempi channel and patch its variable output to the CV input on our DXG. Here's what that sounds like. Now let's add in the binary zone patch. Patch the sum output on Maths to the fall CV input on channel 4. And we'll begin patching Tempi outputs to the inputs on our remaining Maths channels. I've got channel 5 of Tempi going into the signal input of channel 1. Let's give it a listen to what that sounds like. So we can see every time channel 5 goes high, because this is set negatively, it subtracts from the fall time. Let's add in some more channels. Here's channel 2 from Tempi, going into channel 2 of Maths. We'll set this one positively. And I'll patch channel 3 of Tempi to channel 3 of Maths. And I'll also set this one positively. Experiment with different multiplication and division settings on Tempi, as well as different mix settings in Maths to achieve a huge variety of results. When this signal is patched into a VCA or a low-pass gate, it can help the modulated signal seem alive. Here's what it sounds like in the context of a larger patch. This next example is a zero control patch that only requires one cable. Well, sort of. This is a modular synthesizer patch, so there's going to be more than one cable in use. But for this example, we'll be talking about this cable, which will allow us to control the level of the dynamic envelope from zero control, which is patched to the dynamics input on zero coast. This is what it sounds like without that cable connected. As you can see, I'm increasing the strength control, and as I turn that up, the strength of the dynamic envelope increases. Next to that control is the strength CV input. This allows us to patch a control voltage in and have that CV control the strength of our dynamic envelope. I'll be taking this cable and connecting the pressure CV output to the strength CV input, and very importantly, making sure the interrupt control, that's the one with the hand on it, is switched off. Switching it off allows us to touch the pads and have the sequence continue uninterrupted. We'll turn up the strength control and hear the results. We can change the level of the strength control for slightly different effects. Set it to taste. I found this patch loves echo, so I brought an echo pedal from home. I'll turn the mix control all the way up, and we'll listen to the results. Let's hear this in the context of a larger patch. This third and final patch was inspired by this module, the Wired X-Mix, designed by Grant Richter and released by Moleco in the early 2010s. In particular, it's inspired by the functionality of this switch, as well as the normalizations of the X and Y inputs. Together, they turn this crossfading module into a balanced modulator. And while this X-Mix is no longer in production, we can recreate this balanced modulator functionality using X-PAN and Ch.Svr. Let's check it out. I know of two X-PAN patches that transform this module into a balanced modulator. I'll show them both to you now, and I'll start with the one that has the most in common with the functionality I just described on Grant Richter's X-Mix. To begin, we'll start with a low harmonic waveform, like the sine wave here on Spectrophone, and we'll patch it into a mult. We're going to send a copy of that signal to two places. First up, into a crossfade input on an X-PAN channel. This is what it sounds like. And the second will be to a Ch.Svr channel. If you don't mind wasting a Maths, you can use a center channel of Maths as well. We'll take the output of that Ch.Svr channel and patch it to the other crossfade input, and we will invert this signal completely. Then on X-PAN, we'll adjust the crossfade position until the two signals, the phase-inverted copies of each other, cancel each other out. For the balanced modulation, we'll need a second low harmonic waveform. I'll take this other sine wave from Spectrophone, and I recommend patching this modulating sine wave through an attenuator to avoid any unnecessary distortion. I'll use another Ch.Svr channel here, and I'll patch its output to the crossfade input. I'll be turning up its level until there's distortion, and once I hear that, I'll back off. This pan control is acting as a output level controller, and as you can see, I have a control voltage patched into it as well, transforming this into a VCA. It's able to do that because I'm only using one of the outputs of X-PAN. I'm using the right output, so setting pan all the way to the left and then modulating up from there allows us to have volume control. This is what that sounds like. If we adjust either of the frequencies of A or B on Spectrophone, we can get new series of harmonics. The other way to do this involves audio rate modulation of the pan control. Just change a couple things around here. First up is we will patch both of the pan outputs to our monitor. We will remove the phase-inverted copy of our input signal, and I will patch it to the right input for reasons that will become clear in a moment. And our modulating second sine wave is still patched into this attenuator here. I'll keep it patched into that attenuator for the same reasons. I want to avoid distortion. Finally, I'll set pan to the center position, connect our Ch.Svr channel, increase its level, and as I increase the crossfade position, we'll hear balanced modulation. And as before, we have a degree of automation over the output level in a VCA capacity. Only in this case, we'll be using the crossfade position as our voltage-controlled amplifier. We've got audio going into the right input. The left input has nothing going in, so setting the crossfade position to A and modulating up to B allows us to have control over the volume. Let's hear this in a more involved patch. Walker will be back next week, so Be sure to tune in and see what he's up to. Find yourself on Instagram, head over to the Make Noise channel, see what we're posting there. In the meantime, I wish you a weekend of peace and quiet. Happy patching!